Welcome to the Last Down Podcast. We got episode 16 today. Finally, some football was played, and I'm your boy Anguiano.
I'm your boy Lopez.
Preseason week 1, down the books. There's a lot of things we got to talk about, and I feel like, overall, it was a lot of interesting things. And what was your overall take, though, before we really get into it?
For starters, preseason was pretty fun from the highlights that I got to see. The game, I didn't get to see much. Well, I didn't get to see any games other than the Packers one. But from what I saw across the league, it was really fun, and we got to see a lot of stars, a lot of, shining, but rising stars.
I was actually a little surprised because I feel like realistically half the teams were actually starting their starters, which in the years past, there was always a few teams, but I feel like it was a little more than usual. I feel.
Yeah,
how you felt?
No, yeah, agreed. One that I can think of right now is Russell Wilson. He got to play 2 quarters. And that's really, that shows a lot that these teams are actually taking preseason seriously. And, they're trying to showcase what they got and really see how the team coexists.
Yeah, but we'll start with some actual news real quick. With Phillip Rivers and the Niners, that he was pretty much on call if the Niners got to the Super Bowl. Which I find smart because Brock Purdy's inexperienced. But what's your thoughts on that?
I'm very surprised because of all quarterbacks that they could bring back, possibly Phillip Rivers was maybe the last option. One option that I would have considered and had the phone call ready for is Drew Brees. Because I know Drew Brees was very hesitant on retiring. He kind of was lingering there last year with him possibly going to the Dolphins. So I just feel like Drew Brees would have been a better call there, and especially a quarterback that actually has a Super Bowl under his belt. I feel like Drew Brees would have been the better option there. But nonetheless, the 49ers actually had a decent plan. I feel like it's a decent plan that maybe other teams will consider because you have a rookie quarterback that is shaky and is hurt. What better way than to bring a veteran?
In that context, I agree because obviously Brock Purdy was hurt. But if he was healthy, I don't know. I feel like Brock Purdy was very sharp, very solid. And as a Rams fan, I hated seeing that. But nevertheless, we'll dive into preseason. And we're just going to go in order, starting with the Texans and the Patriots. Though there are some things we could talk about. I feel like the main thing is that C.J. Stroud, his O-line was bailing on him. And it was not a pretty debut. It was not a pretty debut at all.
No, and it's the story of the Texans. The Texans have great quarterbacks, but just don't have the offensive line to help them out. And C.J. Stroud is no different. He looked pretty, rustled up with all the pressures coming at him and the dropbacks. I hope that it can, be fixed as the season goes by, but it's a strong indicator that the Texans might not be the team just yet.
So what do you think about Tank Dell's performance? 5 catches, 65 yards.
Solid, dude. I think I'm believing the hype more and more. I know you had the most hype around him. You thought that he was obviously going to be a top 5 receiver
For the rookies.
For rookies. Yes, for rookies. And he showcased what he has. And the hype is real. He made that unreal catch in preseason. I think he's set for a good, solid campaign, honestly.
I have him... Actually, I have him still second or third overall in terms of rookies for receivers year 1. But who knows? Because at the end of the day, C.J. Stroud will be the one throwing to him and not Davis Mills. So, for sure, he actually looked very good, though, given the fact that it was Davis Mills. And that catch was phenomenal.
Yep.
But to go on the Patriots, I feel like mainly what stood out to me is that Christian Gonzalez had an impactful fumble. He did very well. He did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, and Chris Gonzalez obviously slid down in the draft, and according to many, he was easily a top 10 pick. But he fell down to, I believe, the 17th pick to the Patriots. And I just feel like this is a guy to watch for. If Christian Gonzalez if he's a steal, then, watch out because he could be the next good corner for the Patriots.
Who knows? Maybe the next Stephon Gilmore. But another thing about the Patriots is, I don't know if you noticed, but one of their quarterbacks was actually not a quarterback in the big game. He was a receiver, Malik Cunningham, and he had a nice touchdown. They're saying out here that he's going to be in the next Julian Edelman, but I don't know. What you think about that statement?
I don't think he's the next Julian Edelman, to be honest. I feel like, obviously, he's mainly going to play the quarterback position. But if they switch him over to the wide receiver position, then I could see some sort of success. But I just don't think throwing out the label of him being the next Edelman makes sense.
I think the Patriots, though, they need to be creative. They don't have much to offer. Their defense is very good, but that offense, easily the worst in the division. They have to be creative. Like last year, I still remember specifically their corner, Marcus Jones, was playing offense for one snap against Buffalo, and he scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
They were very creative. They had to stay creative because if they want to compete, like I said, man, Bill Belichick just has to really be in his bag, just think outside the box. And if Malik Cunningham can provide that like he did in preseason, then who knows? Maybe they'll actually be better just because of that alone.
Yep.
But on to the next game. I mean, the Seahawks-Vikings. I mean, I know you have some stuff to say.
Yeah, Jackson Smith-Njigba is a guy to watch for. I have here that he had 3 for 4 catches with 25 yards. It's not a lot, but from what people have seen, what I saw from the highlights is a guy that can get separation, a guy that can route run really well. And we'll see the next preseason game how he shows. But I feel like it's a great glimpse of what's to come. And obviously, they're going to restrict him because they know he's going to be in the bigger picture. He's not just a rookie that he's fighting for a spot. No, this is a rookie that's going to straight up get targets, get yardage, and this is just a small glimpse. But just watch for him.
At minimum, he's going to be the wide receiver too. At minimum, later on because, DK's still kind of young, and I wouldn't be surprised though if there's a scenario where he's the 1 and DK's the 2, but I still feel like that's a little bit down the road.
Yeah.
For sure, right now, I do believe the Seahawks have one of the best trios in the NFL now, thanks to that, because I do see him looking closer to that Ohio State JSN. If he even gets near that, even in an NFL level, he's going to be elite wide receiver 3.
And I piggyback on that. We had a comment in one of the TikToks, I believe, saying that when I said that Higgins and Chase were the best duo in NFL, someone said, "Oh, what about Devonta Smith and AJ Brown?" To be honest, they're both great duos, and I have them below, by one spot. They're number 1 is obviously going to be Chase Higgins, but number 2 for me is Brown and Devonta Smith. So I don't get why. I mean, I guess, but if you look at the statistics, Chase was killing it last year, So you can't really blame me for picking them first and, Devonta Smith and AJ Brown. Devonta Smith had a pretty slow, season. First half was okay. You see the writing on the, not the writing on the wall, but you see that he's kind of, boosting and going up. It wasn't until like the second half where it was like, okay, this guy's for real. This guy is a good compliment to AJ Brown. But don't come at me, check the statistics. Hey,
I think Dolphins fans might want to say something to us.
Maybe that is true, but we'll find. I mean, that is true. They were the best wide receiver duo last year, but I just think for this upcoming season they won't be.
I don't know. I feel like they're the second or third best wide receiving duo, the Dolphins. If Tua just is better, then we'll be wrong because if he's better, that means they'll do better.
If he stays healthy too, then by all means, we could still consider them the best duo.
But I feel like Tua is a very high injury risk, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But to go on to Friday's games, I feel like there's, in terms of the Lions and the Giants, I really want to talk about how specifically 2 players on the defensive sides of both teams. Deontay Banks for the Giants, he was very good in his limited timeshare. The first rounder really could possibly be a very good starting corner. I mean, 3 targets, no receptions. And then, not to mention, Detroit had Julian I'm trying to see. Okwara, yes.
He had 3 sacks and 3 tackles for loss.
That's very good. I mean, it's preseason, but 3 sacks and against, at minimum backups. I didn't even watch the game, so I can't be honest. I don't know if... I'll be honest, I don't know if it was against starters or backups, but It was likely backups. I mean, he still left a clear impact on the defense for Detroit.
Yeah, for sure. The Lions need those type of players if they want to compete in the NFC North. And, Julian provided that boost. That's his name, right, Julian?
Yes, Julian.
Julian definitely showed a lot of. He's not a rookie, you know. He's been in the league for at least 3 years now, so you know him doing these type of performances will keep him on the field and will keep him in the starting contention.
I feel like the Lions for sure need that though, like you said, because right now the NFC North is completely wide open. But another thing I actually want to talk about is the AFC North, specifically the Steelers. Friday, that first drive, I mean, maybe it's obviously because it's preseason, but man, Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, that whole offense just looked very, very good, very sharp. Najee didn't do crazy, but, you know, I mean, everything was still efficient overall, and it was just one drive, so, I mean, but overall, seriously, the Steelers, maybe a playoff team. Their offense, you know, their defense is very good, but the offense, if they continue to look a little bit more like that, like we're talking about playoffs for sure, I think, at that point. Even though the Bengals and the Ravens are still there.
Yeah.
You know, I think that whole division could be crazy.
Yeah. And one guy that really stood out to me, and is the reason why I'm sweating my ass off. No, I'm playing. But this guy that's super hot right now and that a lot of people are kind of taking a glimpse at, like, who is this guy? Tyson Anderson of the Cincinnati Bengals. He had 2 picks against my team, and he had one go for 43 yards for a pick 6. This is a guy that, like, out of nowhere just stood out, and I feel like could be a potential starter for the Bengals. After they lost a lot of good pieces of their secondary, they need people to step up, and Tyson Anderson really stood out to me, and is a player that to watch for. Honestly, to watch for.
I agree. I mean, even though it was against the mediocre Packers, I feel like, you know, you're still performing, you're still doing some stuff. Like 2 interceptions in one game is still pretty good. Even though I think it was on Sam Clifford, right?
Yes, it was Clifford. So I don't. If it was Love, I would say mediocre, but it's not Love. Love balled out. That's all I gotta say. Balled out.
Let's go into more detail. So how do you feel about your potential future franchise QB? How do you feel about what you saw? Because I only saw a TD. The TD was nice, but how do you feel about what you saw? Because I know you watched the highlight.
From what I saw was that he had a lot of composure. He compared to like his start against the Philadelphia Eagles, where obviously the Packers were losing. He showed a lot of nervousness and stuff like that, but then kind of like calmed himself down. But in this preseason game, Jordan Love showed a lot of understanding of the game, a lot of mental toughness, and I feel like he's going to be ready. He's going to be ready. He was making smart throws, and that touchdown pass was great. So generally speaking, I think Jordan Love will be okay. It's really just dependent on. And another thing that we saw that you sent me a statistics of dropbacks. Jordan Love had 0% dropbacks. That offensive line was helping the heck out of Jordan Love.
Yeah.
If that's the case throughout the whole season, we're looking at a solid campaign from Love. I'm not trying to hype it up.
I agree.
I'm like I said, I'm a diehard Packers fan, but I'm not trying to hype up that we're gonna make it all the way. But if Jordan Love has the same offensive line that Aaron Rodgers had, you know, it could make any quarterback look good, honestly. As long as you have a good offensive line and good pieces, I think Jordan Love will be straight. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, and he has. I feel like Christian Watson, at least, it's clear that he's an above-average receiver already. Even though we haven't seen too much from him, it's clear he already has that weapon right there. And Romeo Doubs looked very good that day. I know he was the one that caught the TD.
Yeah.
If he starts looking like the wide receiver 2 that he was starting to look like last year, then we're talking about 2 good receivers, and then all of a sudden you have a decent offense. And not to mention the running backs are one of the best cores in the league. I mean, the Packers can definitely compete. I think regardless, they'll be fine in NFC North in terms of competing. I'm not really concerned about them just being bad or something. I don't expect them to just fall off a cliff.
Yeah, I don't think the Packers will be instantly horrendous. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't make the playoffs. But I just think the way Jordan Love showcased himself in this one preseason game and the ability of the offensive line to avoid all the pressure, it's a sign of good things to come, you know. And I'm hopeful as a Packers fan. I'm really hopeful.
And then another game I feel like was of interest is the Browns and the Commanders. I mean, Deshaun Watson, he actually played this time. He went 3 for 3, 12 passing yards. He made more of an effect on rushing, rushed 20 rushing yards. Did you see how he performed, or did you just...
I kind of just didn't want to look at it. I mean, 3 for 3, 20, how many yards?
12
yards.
I would say, I mean, it it was conservative for sure.
Yeah, they don't want to hurt. They don't want to hurt him. The guy that I'm looking at is DTR. DTR went crazy in his preseason game, and just like what happened at the Hall of Fame game, he balled out and showed why he should be a number 2 option in Cleveland, and could easily be a starter in other teams. I'll say it here.
Yeah,
I'll say it here.
I agree.
He
DTR
can easily be a starting quarterback. Because he showed a lot of glimpses of. It's crazy to me. I don't think I've seen a guy do this good in a preseason game.
Yeah, he did it 2 times in a row, and DTR, and he can block too. I feel like DTR should have been a starter somewhere else. I don't know how he fell that late. I could have sworn it was because of injury. But UCLA for sure developed him well. I knew when I saw him battle against Caleb Williams, I'm like, at that time I'm like, I don't know how he's not getting like real hype.
Yeah.
Because I was like, he's for sure capable of putting up points.
Yeah.
And he has raw talent, a lot of athleticism. He can throw the ball with it. I mean, I just really think that DTR needs to get traded at some point. Maybe not now, just because he's a rookie and Deshaun Watson might not pan out. But if Deshaun Watson pans out, he probably legit needs to be traded because, he looks too good right now. He looks like, personally, I feel like he's for sure better than at least 5 starting quarterbacks in the NFL right now.
Yeah, but speaking on Watson, I want to touch upon that the the Browns and the Eagles are having joint practices, and the Eagles cornerback Reed Blankenship has picked off Watson 3 times already in joint practices. So if it tells you something, is that Deshaun Watson is not doing that great in the joint practices. So just to keep an eye out, I just feel like this is a boomer bust year for Watson for sure.
I agree. And I feel like another thing I actually want to talk about from the Browns though is that Ronnie Hickman, he got undrafted. He's a rookie. Yeah, I mean they need secondary still, and he did very well. He had 2 interceptions, 2 passes defended. I mean he was low key a baller this weekend, and even though probably not many people are talking about it, but he really made an impact on this game. And what do you think about the 2 interceptions?
Yeah, another player like Tyson Anderson. It's another player that's gonna be a guy to look at, and a guy that could be easily in the starting position soon. These teams need secondary in a conference that's like full of good wide receivers. You got the Chases, you got the Pickett's. The Pickens. You got Odell. Like these are guys. You need to have secondary in this division. So great standing out for him. Great opportunity for him to come out of nowhere, be undrafted, and possibly become a starter one day. So I think these guys balled out and showed why this division specifically needs you need those cornerbacks, you need these safeties.
And then I actually want to touch base on the Washington Commanders. Sam Howell looked pretty good, pretty sharp actually. 9 for 12, over 70 passing yards. My main takeaway though is I think Dotson's for sure wide receiver too, because he had a nice grab. Howell overthrew it a little bit, and then he had a nice grab for the TD. I generally think the Commanders possibly can be a competent offense, especially with Eric Bieniemy now being the offensive coordinator. What's your thoughts on all this?
I think Sam Howell for sure is going to be a great starter for the Commanders. I think he's an upgrade from last year when they had
Heineke.
Yeah, I respect Heineke. I respect his grind. I respect that he got them to the playoffs before, but I just think that Sam Howell probably has a bit more potential to himself. And as for Dotson has been for the last 2 years been like the next star for the Commanders. The guy that's going to complement McLaurin. But I'm still on Curtis Samuel. I love that dude.
Is it because you had him on your fantasy?
I did have him on my fantasy team, and he would he had great games, and then he had horrendous games. But I just feel like,
so why are you still on him?
Because last year Johan Dotson didn't do as much as. It's John Dotson, right?
Jahan Dotson.
Jahan Dotson. Yeah, Dotson didn't perform as great as we thought, and I remember he would miss a lot of catches. So It's really going to be, again, the story of who's wide receiver 2, and I think Samuel still has it in the bag.
I disagree, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
On the flip side, Russell Wilson played until the second quarter, like you said. Honestly, I feel like it's concerning that he barely got a touchdown, and it took like almost 10 minutes into the second quarter to get it. I feel like I wouldn't blame everything on him because I clearly was able to tell instantly that O-line is bad. It's horrible. I wouldn't want to play it all on him, but for sure, I'm already writing off the Broncos. I don't care if Sean Payton's the coach. If it takes you like over 20 minutes to score a touchdown against the Cardinals, and it's supposedly not even their starters, like that's already an alarm to me.
Yeah, the Broncos situation is very hard to tell. Like, again, we're left with more questions than answers. Russell Wilson didn't do as expected, and 7 for 13 is not bad in the ideal quarterback world, in the ideal NFL world. But for a guy that has the weapons, just to not really showcase more, really leaves Broncos fans wondering: is this it? Is this really all we're gonna get? A mediocre quarterback that has all the tools, but is lacking, that offensive line, is lacking that drive that he had in Seattle, So it's really sad for it's a really sad situation for the Broncos.
Yeah, and they paid a couple of O-linemen, and I don't think they played that game though, so I guess that's a little bit of slack right there.
And one was injured. I forgot which one was injured.
But. Yeah, but I know it wasn't full force, but I know some of the stars are still playing it. No, it's horrible down there. I feel like I would be very shocked if we're here in a few months from now, and they're the playoff hunt. I really do think it's not looking good at all, and things can change, but I don't think they will.
I'm not optimistic at all.
So going on to Saturday, I feel like I gotta start off with the arrival of the Bears, specifically Justin Fields. I'll cut to the chase. I feel like the weapons are for sure better this year than last year. I mean, the 2 touchdowns on 2 plays speaks for itself. What do you think about the Justin Fields performance and the weapons?
I hate it. Plain and simple, I hate it. Why the hell are the Bears playing good? They should be worse than this. No, it's true, man. Justin Fields and DJ Moore, they have that connection. And Justin was doing video game stuff. And now that I'm thinking, my freaking rankings are looking more and more bleak than I thought. They're looking worse and worse. I mean, then again, it is preseason, so not everyone's full force. But still.
But maybe I should tell you another thing. Obviously the Bears had bad D-line last year, but this time around, I mean, it's like you said, it's preseason, but they had 2 guys, Terrell Lewis get 2 sacks, and then Jalen Harris get 1.5 sacks. I mean, it seems like there's some guys that clearly are fiending for defense, fiending to be an impact on that defense for sure, and maybe they're legit.
I don't. On to the next question, man. I'm done with the
next
talking.
question. Okay, we'll go on to the next game. I feel like we should talk about a feel-good moment right here. DeMar Hamlin finally played. And the craziest part is that he got some tackles. Look, like, if I'm gonna be honest, that's probably like the most feel-good story in the NFL for sure. And when that happened to him, I was like, I almost felt like I knew him. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I felt like nervous. I felt like, oh my gosh, like what really the heck happened?
Yeah.
I was like thinking about it for like days, like nonstop. I was like I was freaking out. It's something we've never seen before, really, on that level.
On any sport, honestly.
Yeah, and I mean, it just kind of sucks that happened, but it's kind of remarkable to really think about. He recorded a few tackles, played a game. Like, what do you think about all this?
I mean, it's surreal, man, because if we would have said when it happened, like after it happened, we would have thought he was done, his career was over, that he shouldn't play another year down. But here we are, He's playing here. He did good, solid for the preseason, and I mean, if anything, it's like a learning lesson that although, they give you the hardest challenges in life, you can always just get back up and, do better. Yeah, so he does his charities and events outside of the football field. So props to him for coming back and really just standing out. One of the Bills players that stood out to me.
100%. I mean, it's a feel good story overall, and it just shows, you just gotta keep fighting. You're stronger than you think, in life,
Yeah.
But on to more things. Anthony Richardson, I feel like the debut was all right. I feel like given the context of his whole history, lack of experience, it was pretty good. Outside of one horrible interception, I mean, he should have had a touchdown. Alec Pierce dropped it, but 7 for 13, like 60 yards. It's not that bad. It's competent. And given that I can tell, he was facing some pressure too, because I think the Bills did start their starters on defense at first.
Damn.
So, because I for sure saw Milano.
Yeah.
So I think given all that, and he's already named the starter, by the way. He's already named the starter. When we're filming this, they already said it. So it's pretty clear that Anthony Richardson, the inexperience, it's not as bad as we think. I feel like overall, he might be a top 10 fantasy QB. I don't know.
I mean, that's a wild take. I just feel like, with the Jonathan Taylor situation, it really limits that type of progression. But, I mean, just him already being announced as the number one starter should give him a confidence boost. But also kind of, I mean, his first preseason game was kind of tough. But still, he showed glimpses and showed why he's still going to be the starting quarterback moving forward. But, I mean, we'll just got to see the second game, see how he rolls, and if he does good, then, I mean, it's a good indicator of what's going to come.
Yeah. I mean, and then, he already has the dual threat ability. So, and that's the move now. I feel like that's what every team wants. And, I mean, with that being said, I feel like moving on to the next team, Deuceman. I want to touch on Deuceman because, everyone knows who he is by now. It's probably the smallest running back in the NFL right now. But he balled out 8 rushes, 50 yards, TD. I feel like people are saying that he's probably going to be the RB2 for the Dallas Cowboys. And I feel like I can agree. I saw him in K-State, He was a huge reason why they went as far as they did. He runs the ball with poise. He's small, but he definitely runs downhill pretty good.
Yeah, he reminds me of Darren Sproles. I don't know if you ever got to see him play, but Darren Sproles was also 5'6", and he also went to K-State. So, there's a lot of glimpses with Darren Sproles and Deuce Vaughn, and I think Deuce Vaughn has already said that he likes to pick out whatever Darren Sproles had, and Darren Sproles was never the top elite running back, but he was always that shifty guy that, he'd break tackles. He was fast, So if anything, having that type of, comparison is really good for him, really good for Deuce Vaughn, and I feel like, given the fact that they do know each other, Sproles probably would give him a lot of tips and stuff, so... And he showed up, I have it here. He had 8 carries for 50 yards and a touchdown. Hey man, that's solid for a running back or for a rookie running back. It's solid. So congrats to him on having a good showing. And yeah, instantly he is going to be running back 2 behind Pollard.
Pollard, but
Pollard.
We'll see. I bet you if you hear the announcer, he says Pollard. But nevertheless, let's go on to the next game. I feel like there's something else that I want to talk about, and it's my team against the Chargers. I'll first start it off with the fact that Quentin Johnston had a nice TD. As you're being a main Packers fan.
The best LA team won.
Who has the Super Bowl? Us.
Just continue.
Quentin Johnston had a nice TD. If he does pan out as expected, I think we're looking at the Chargers being Super Bowl contenders. Yes, Super Bowl contenders. I feel like Justin Herbert is pretty much already there. He's right there with Mahomes. I just don't. I know he doesn't have the freaking awards, but the eye test says something else. And not to mention, if Quentin Johnston just looks good, he has a top 5 wide receiver trio undoubtedly, and this will all for sure be the case. I would not be surprised at all if the Chargers are 12 or 13 win team if they stay healthy.
That's a very bold take on saying that they're Super Bowl contenders, but based off a preseason game. But yeah, the Rams obviously didn't really, do much. But one standout that I don't know if you're going to refer to or you're going to talk about is Stetson Bennett. Stetson Bennett actually did okay. He actually did pretty okay.
You didn't see the fact that
I think
their corner dropped 4 interceptions. But I mean, outside of that, 4 interceptions. Outside of that, he was fine.
Yeah.
But I will give him a little bit slack, I guess. But
you guys have your guys' quarterback of the future. You guys don't need Caleb Williams. You got Stetson Bennett, 2-time defending national champion.
Sucks that Caleb Williams will never.
He's not gonna be a Ram. Never gonna be a Ram.
But another player that I'm gonna mention from our team, and I hope that this isn't just a preseason, performance. Keira Thomas, 1.5 sacks. We definitely need someone to rush because if it's just Donald, we're not getting many sacks. I feel like everyone would just prepare for Donald, and he's getting older. We're not getting many sacks. Yeah. We lost Floyd. So, I mean, I feel like that alone just already puts us at a deficit. And not to mention, we lost Ramsey too. So, I don't have high hopes anyway. But I feel like, Stetson Bennett is not our answer, though. I don't know what he's on. I don't feel like Stetson Bennett showed me enough. And not to mention he's already 25, 26. Like, he should be in the prime of his career like Herbert, and he shouldn't be out here in a preseason game. So nevertheless, I feel like it's time to move on to another team, and it's the Eagles. I want to talk about just one player, and it's Eli Ricks. Given that the Eagles lost some secondary, aka C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Eli Ricks for sure had a little standout right there with the pick 6. What do you think about Eli Ricks?
Well, yeah, it's another how Tyson Anderson and the Bengals cornerback. They both stood out. This is another standout that, it's another division that you need the defensive backs. With duos like McLaurin and Samuel Dotson. And then you got, CeeDee Lamb. Like, there's guys there that, you got to avoid at all costs. And as long as you have good, solid defensive backs, yeah, the ice cream machine is back here behind us. But anyways, that's because...
it's hot outside.
Yes, it's hot outside. If you can't tell, we're sweating our asses off.
I'm not sweating.
I'm sweating my ass off. But to be honest, yes, the Eagles corners seem to come out of nowhere. They have a corner machine. They have a safety machine. They have everything there. So I mean, yeah, I mean
they have a sack machine.
They have a sack machine. Like, the Eagles always tend to get good defensive pieces, and this is just one more to their addition.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. I feel like the Eagles are the team to beat in NFC. I don't even think the Niners can compete right now, if I'm being honest. But on to the Sunday games. I feel like there's literally a couple of things I want to talk about. I just want to start off, though, real quickly. I just want to say I'm surprised that Mahomes played. That's all I got to say. I'm just going to cut touches. I'm just surprised he played. I mean, I know Andy Reid typically starts the starters, but after the year he just had, I'm just surprised because of the injury he had. And he even ran. But what do you think about that little performance that Mahomes did in terms of the fact that he just played?
I mean, it's not rare for any team to start their starters, and Mahomes is no different. He is the starting quarterback, and what better way than to start the season than by throwing him in the preseason? And even if it's for a short span, it still is a great way to warm up and, get yourself adjusted with new teammates and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure Tom Brady did it in his career too. So, it's not a rare occurrence that, a team just won the Super Bowl and their starting quarterback is in the preseason. No, I mean, you obviously want to get everyone on the field and get everyone in that zone, get everyone ready, that mentality. All right, this is day one, this is day one of, the road to the Super Bowl. So, I mean, I don't mind it. I'm pretty sure Mahomes probably wanted to do it. I feel like Mahomes probably was like, all right, let me coach.
I guess it's fair. I guess it's fair to say that because I remember I watched the whole drive he was on. He like I said, he freaking ran.
Yeah.
And I was so surprised because he ran for like 6 yards. He barely missed the first down, and it was 4th-and-1 in like the middle of the field, and they went for it. They went for it. He didn't get the ball. They were trying to sneak it in, but they went for it.
Well, if that shows you anything, the Chiefs are all in again. Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid have that mentality. Go bold or go home. So I'm not surprised at all that team is wants to defend it. They want that championship. They want that franchise. Or that dynasty. So I'm not surprised. And Mahomes, go at it, man. Go eat.
We'll see. But now on to the flip side. The main part I want to talk about is Derek Carr looked very, very solid. I know it's just one drive, but they were missing Chris Jones on the defense side, so maybe the pressure was not really there, obviously. So, but I mean, I like what Derek Carr did. I feel like we're looking at a top 12 offense right here. We're looking at a top 12 offense.
Possibly.
If they stay healthy. Because MT and Olave, you have a nice 1-2. And then a tight end, Juwan Johnson. I feel like he's low-key a sleeper. I feel like he can, for sure, at least get 500. For sure.
I mean, if Derek Carr performs to his usual, like where he does good with the receivers, then yeah,
he's getting 500.
Yeah. I mean, Derek Carr tends to like other weapons, like he had, he had
Waller,
Renfro. Yeah. So
and he even performed with Ruggs before all that stuff happened.
Exactly. So I mean, as long as he keeps being consistent and is smart with the ball, then yeah, I think the Raiders are. I mean, the Saints are up to something. They're up to something. And Michael Thomas stays healthy again, then I can see this team being a possible sleeper in contention. A sleeper in contention. They'll make I think they'll make the playoffs.
Undeniably, I think they will too.
But if the team stays healthy and Derek Carr comes back to 2016 form, by all means, I can see Derek.
I even think 2021 he was pretty good.
Yeah, no, 2021 he was also pretty solid, but 2016 was like his MVP campaign, or where he was close to being MVP. But I just think that Derek Carr does have that potential, and with a team that's pretty solid all around, defensively, offensively. I mean, if he's the X factor in my opinion.
I agree. I feel like more it's between he's the X factor, but MT, if he stays healthy, like I said, I do think we're looking at a top 12 offense.
Yeah.
Top 12. I'm not even lying.
Yeah, no.
Because I see it like two very good receivers. And I feel like even whoever wide receiver 3 could be, whoever wide receiver 3 is for the Saints, won't be too bad. And like I said, the tight end, I feel like he's not too much of a sleeper to Saints fans, but to other fans, if you need to see how Juwan Johnson really plays, because
he's a tight end.
He's a tight end.
Well, speaking of the Saints, they signed Jimmy Graham.
They did too, and he's a fan favorite.
I mean, he's a fan favorite, and he's a Saints legend in my opinion. Just bringing guys like that with that veteran presence really tells me that the Saints want to win. They don't want to be the laughing stock of the NFL in a laughing stock division. But I mean, the Saints are all in, man. I think the Saints are all in, and they want to compete. They want to win, and so we'll see.
I agree.
We'll see.
Because I feel like Bryce Young didn't show much. I feel like the weapons are problematic there. But Bryce Young showed poise, but I think the weapons are bad.
Yeah.
And then the Falcons, I didn't really feel like I saw that much. And the Buccaneers are I feel like Baker played all right, but I don't think I don't have hope. So I feel like the Saints are the best.
Yeah, they're the best option.
Best bet, yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like another quick thing is I feel like given that Kamara played the first drive, it's clear that he's probably the 1A still. Jamal Williams obviously played some drives, but I didn't really see much to make me say like, oh, Jamal Williams could really take it over. I really do think at this point, Kamara still has that 1A. And now on to the best part, which is the Niners. I feel like Trey Lance is the main thing I honestly want to talk about because it looked pretty clear that he is in a situation where he's not built for it right now. Sat like 3 times in the first quarter. Sat like 4 or 5 times overall to the Raiders practice squad. So it looked pretty clear, and he was pump faking like crazy. And his touchdown was like the luckiest touchdown that we're probably gonna see this year. I don't know if you saw that touchdown, but it was luck for sure.
Yeah, that Raiders ice cream truck just passed by, and they're telling us that the Niners aren't shit right now. No, I'm just kidding. The thing is that the way that Lance looked at the game, looked during this game, he looked shaky. He looked, like a player that just came out of an injury.
Yeah.
Which is the case.
Yeah.
When you come back from an injury, you're not 100%. You're kind of, it's a mental game.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh my God, I just had a gruesome injury and now I'm back on the field. You have to get readjusted to things, And I'm not surprised at all, but I do kind of sense that something's going to happen in the future where a trade comes around. I was very hard on the trade happening. The Raiders. I was saying to the Raiders. And, I think that could still hold some value, maybe, if the Jimmy G experiment doesn't happen. But it's just, I think that now that Shanahan announced Purdy to be the starter no matter what, it's a clear indicator that they're going to move on from Lance.
Yeah, I feel like he ruined some value for sure because... if you're an NFL team, you're gonna watch what he did, and you're gonna be able to tell that right now he's not there.
No,
he's not there. I don't even know why the Niners did what they did. I don't know what they saw in him, and I'm thankful in a sense because since they're a rival, I'm thankful that they're stupid when it comes to drafting. I mean, they drafted a kicker in the 3rd round, and he did horrible too. So I feel like not every team can be perfect, and it's pretty clear that the Niners don't have a perfect front office.
I don't know about that one, my friend. That's a lot of bias right there because I think John Lynch is one of the best front businessmen that's in charge of the obviously.
Then why can't he get the right quarterback?
Well, you gotta be kidding me, man, because Brock Purdy kind of took him. Pretty far.
Well, we gotta see it then. We gotta see it.
Brock Purdy took him pretty far.
We gotta see it long term.
I don't want to tell. I don't know how to break it to you. How did he get CMC? How he still makes these trades that are in our imagination wouldn't happen, but it happened. So for you to call out
the quarterback, though, he messed up.
He messed up that pick, but I mean, Lance was a top 5 quarterback in that class, top 2 quarterback in that class.
Top 2, bro. Get out here, bro. He was not top 2. It was Lawrence and Fields, right? Fields, yes. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is that Trey Lance was not a sleeper, but he was a rising pick.
Yeah, okay, I will agree. He was starting to get some hype.
Yes.
I agree with that.
So the 49ers had no option. They had to get Lance. I mean, I think it didn't pan out.
I know it's crazy, but I think it would have been a little better if they would have gone Mac Jones. A little better.
And it'd be a Jimmy G situation all over again. I just feel like they're system quarterbacks. It's
okay, actually, I couldn't see that.
Yeah. And Lance obviously has this way better skill set than Mac Jones.
I feel like we just need to see a lot more of Trey Lance.
We do. But that plug is slowly coming out.
Yeah.
Because honestly, after that, it could be. I mean, Purdy is the starter of the quarterback. He's the starting quarterback. So
yeah. But nevertheless, I feel like the Niners. It'll all come down to Purdy. I feel like that reaffirmed it on Sunday with Lance's performance. And overall, I just think this preseason did tell us some things for sure already, especially the Niners and the Broncos. Those 2 stood out to me the most because obviously Wilson playing until the second game. And now to the news portion that's happened since. Obviously, there's 2 main running backs, and they're just like this fly that's on me. They're gonna be pests to the RB1s of those teams, aka Breece Hall and Ramondre Stevenson. I feel like just like these pests, Dalvin Cook is going to be a pest in fantasy for Breece Hall. I haven't released the video yet, but Breece Hall for sure is not going to be a top 15 running back, nor is Dalvin Cook. I feel like it's fair to say that because Breece Hall just came off a gruesome injury, and it's pretty fair to assume that they want to ease him back in. Obviously, he's the future. Obviously, he's bound to be better. But, obviously, like I said, torn ACL is a very, very serious thing. So, I view Breece Hall as like an RB20-ish. Oh, in other words, low-end RB2, high-end RB3. And Dalvin Cook more as like a bench RB, just outside the top 30 overall, in my personal opinion. And while I do think Zeke hurts Ramondre's value, I don't think it'll be too much. I feel like before the trade, I viewed Ramondre as like a low-end RB1, high-end RB2. But after the trade, I view him as a solid RB2 who's going to lose some rushing and some rushing TDs. But given that he's more known to be a pass-catching back anyway, I just don't see him not being involved. What's your overall take on everything I said?
Yeah, I was starting to fall asleep there. No, I'm just kidding. It's logical, You get these solid backups that were starters, that were superstars. They're obviously going to take a lot of those carries, a lot of those attempts, and I'm not surprised that Breece Hall is going to be pretty much not downgraded to probably a 1B kind of running back. Just because after the injury, coming off a big injury, being, the risking the chances of happening again, having a guy like Dalvin Cook, who has been one of the best running backs, these last couple of seasons, it just tells me that the Jets are obviously playing it safe with Hall, but are also all in on a Super Bowl. Bringing in a good running back like Cook, on a 1 year, $8 million deal, like that's pretty reasonable. It's pretty much, a sign of like, okay, we're not playing anymore. We're here. We're going all in. And in the Patriots situation, getting Ezekiel Elliott, it was because of the depth. They had no one else than Stevenson. They don't have the depth that other teams have, and so having that 1-2 punch with Ezekiel Elliott and Stevenson, it helps. It helps. But yeah, if I were to say which one's gonna lose more stock, I would say that, it's hard to tell, but I would say Breece Hall. Yeah, I would say Breece Hall.
I feel like Zeke would be more of a clear 2, but not 1A, 1B like I think Dalvin and Hall. I really think he's a big clear 2. He's clearly not the same anymore. He's a good goal line back. So, like I said, he will take some stuff away from Stevenson.
Yeah.
But overall, I feel like this actually leads on to the fact that given that D-Hop, Cook, Elliott finally got their places, we're finally going to adjust our rankings accordingly and finally, based on what we saw in preseason, have a final rankings come to you guys very, very soon. Very, very soon. And, I've been updating it as much as I can. And it's close. It's close. It's almost here.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, we still got the preseason going on. But once that finalizes, we'll have pretty much a good rough rankings of what we have, I'm saying rough as like anything could happen still, There's still a lot of training camp going on. But after preseason, you kind of get a good indication of like who's gonna be the good stars, who's gonna be the floppers, the sleepers. So yeah, the rankings are gonna come sooner than later, and it'll have inputs from both of us on every position, or most all the offensive positions. So just wait for that. It should be a good one. There should be some good statistics there, some good projections in general.
But these next few weeks, it's gonna be good. We're going to redo record predictions. We're going to expose more fantasy rankings. We're going to get more news. I already know, there's still some holdouts, a.k.a. JT and Jacobs. We'll see what happens there. But overall, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We're only going to keep pushing it, and it's about to be season, so, there'll be a lot of good stuff coming out. A lot of good stuff.
Yep. The good times are about to roll in. Can't wait for NFL season, and hey, college football's around the corner too, so
less than 2 weeks.
So we're gonna keep an eye out on that. But thank you guys for watching, and yeah, that's it. We're out.
Bye.